Welcome to the Monday, March 2nd, 2026 session of the Lake Forest City Council. Biddy, if you'd please call the roll.
Certainly. Before we get there, can I have a motion to appoint Alderman Notes as Mayor Pro Tem for the evening?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
We'll do roll.
Okay, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Notes,
Here.
Alderman Tovit. Here. Alderman Clemens.
Here.
Alderman Powers.
Here.
Alderman Lavert.
Here.
Alderman Bothfeld.
Here.
Alderman Weber.
Here.
Alderman Walder.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a quorum.
Thank you. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on agenda are comments by the mayor. And we have a resolution of appreciation for Raymond Spetz. And I will find that resolution where, Biddy? Oh, here we go. Thank you. Great.
Right there.
Whereas Raymond W. Spetz has been a dedicated employee of the City of Lake Forest since February 20th, 2006, as a refuse collector. And whereas Raymond W. Spetz will honorably retire from the city on March 3rd, 2026. And whereas Raymond Spetz has faithfully served the community with dedication and quiet pride, always taking care to ensure residents receive dependable, thoughtful service. And whereas the standard of excellence he set through the quality of his work and the exceptional care he showed for the equipment entrusted to him reflects his deep sense of responsibility and professionalism. And whereas Raymond W. Spetz, over the course of 45 years in the sanitation field, generously shared his knowledge and experience, helping to educate his colleagues and promote a culture of safety and teamwork throughout daily operations. And whereas Raymond W. Spetz, as a CDL trainer, invested in the success of others, patiently mentoring sanitation employees to become safe, confident, and skilled drivers, strengthening not only individuals, but the entire section. And whereas, whether out on his route or assisting residents at the compost and recycling center, Raymond W. Spetz could always be counted on to greet residents with a smile and a steady, reassuring presence. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Lake Forest that the council, on behalf of the administration and residents of the community, hereby expresses its appreciation and gratitude to Raymond W. Spetz for a public service faithfully performed. And be it further resolved that this resolution be appropriately inscribed and conveyed to Ray, with a copy to be spread upon the permanent record of the City of Lake Forest, the Lake Forest City Council, this March 2nd, 2026, on behalf of Mayor Tag. Are we doing pictures or?
Motion to approve.
Oh, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution of appreciation?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes.
along with my wife, Janetta, and family. Would like to thank individually, I know Mayor Stack is absent, but all the city aldermen and all the great residents, some of whom I've had the privilege of serving. Thank you. And with special admiration, City Manager Jason Witka and Director Michael Thomas, and of course my supervisor, Brian Bogosian, who make every effort to maintain a productive and safe working environment. Their efforts contributed largely to my longevity. Thank you. Further, and it's my overwhelming desire, and from a deep place in my heart, that you all know it's not just 20 years of labor that reflect a completion of work that you hired me to do, but much more, because it's not lost on me or my coworkers or to anyone who works or lives here that you remain faithful with considerable resolve to the city's grand historic character and aesthetic vision, providing this excellent residential service. Your commitment has permitted me the privilege of serving in this small way and to enter into the historic flow of those purposes. Long may the city of Lake Forest and its residents pursue these ideals with courage and grace. Thank you.
As much as your family, I'm sure, would be interested in hearing the rest of the agenda, you're welcome to do it. So, thank you for sharing them with us.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I make a comment?
Absolutely.
Ray, I just wanted to say on behalf of the Fourth Ward and Old Barn Lane, thank you so much for your great service. Thank you.
All the best. Next item on the agenda are comments from the city manager. Jason, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of City Council. I have one item tonight under my report. The item in question is actually contained within your omnibus agenda. It is the award of construction bids for the Griffith Woodland storm sewer improvement project. While the approval's contained within your omnibus, I thought it would be helpful to have Superintendent of Engineering Byron Coots here to provide a high-level overview, both for the council and community, specific to the scope of the work being done. So with that, I'll turn it over to Byron.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. So for the last 5 years or so, the city has been focusing a lot on stormwater, especially really large projects like the Burr Oak project, Ahwahnee Storm Sewer, which has been really good projects. What we've also been trying to think of when we budget is medium size and small size projects that still negatively, or where the flooding still negatively impacts residents. So this is an example of that. Looking at the picture, this is on Griffith, about mid-block, north of Woodland, where you can see this is in a light storm where it starts flooding the street, starts impacting traffic, and it really goes all the way up to the doors in that neighborhood. So we were able to budget it over the course of 2 years, which I'll talk about on the ward slide. I'm having some trouble here. There we go. First, I want to give a little bit of background. So the existing sewer is undersized. Like I just said, when I showed you that picture, it floods 6 to 9 inches, even in light or small storms. The scope is replacing the storm sewer. Right now, there's what we call a road drain on each side, which is the original storm sewer. I think it's size either 8 or 10 inches, so it's relatively small. We'll be replacing it or adding a additional storm sewer that'll be 18 to 21 inches in size. We'll also be resurfacing that area. So looking at the map, on the left, north is to the right, but looking at the left where we make that connection down at Griffith and Woodland, we'll be resurfacing that area, and then to the north, to the right, all the way up to Rose Terrace will be resurfacing as well. The reason why we didn't extend through Rose Terrace is there is a house that's been under construction for a little while, so we wanted to wait for that house to be complete before we resurface the road. That being said, they're a little bit ahead of schedule, so if there is an opportunity to resurface a little bit further there, we'll go ahead and do that. And just as a note, that the sewer is from the 70s, but it's really just due to the size that we're doing this project. So now looking at the bidding, we bid it out. I think we had 7 plan holders. We ended up getting 5 bids, which was pretty good for this size project. So really happy with the bidding on this. The low bidder is Manival Construction, which has worked in town the last few years on some paving projects. We did call their references, and they do have satisfactory experience for this type of project. The budget was $425,000 with these small storm sewer projects that I mentioned. The way we were able to do it, so like every third year we have a larger budget for storm sewer, but in between we have smaller budgets, so we're able to basically do it through 2 budgets. So we're combining the fiscal year 26 budget of $200,000 and then the fiscal year 27 budget of $225,000. The project will start spring break, March 23rd or March 24th. While there's less traffic in that area, we'll go ahead and make that connection at Griffith and Woodland and continue on through March and April, finishing up with the resurfacing in late May and making sure that the project is complete and the road is open before high school graduation in June. So with that, I can take any questions.
Are there any questions for Director Coots? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
And the last item under my report is just a reminder both for the council and for the community that the city's operating budget workshop will be held next Monday evening at Dickinson Hall. The meeting will begin at 5 p.m. for a closed session with the city council, with the public portion of the meeting beginning at 6 p.m. So hope to see you there. And that concludes my report.
Very good. Okay, the next item on the agenda is opportunity for citizens to address the council on non-agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to address the council at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to committee reports. First is Environmental Sustainability Committee. Consideration of an ordinance prohibiting the use of coal tar sealant products in the city of Lake Forest. First reading, presented by Carrie Kaup, Assistant to City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight before you for your consideration is an ordinance prohibiting the use of coal tar sealant within the city. As a reminder, on the fall 2025 Council Sustainability Survey, this was identified as a top priority for the ESC to consider in 2026. So the ESC has researched this over the past several months and is recommending the draft that's before you tonight. Coal tar, to begin, is a thick black substance that is applied to asphalt pavement in order to brighten and protect it. It contains toxic compounds known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PAHs, and these have been classified as a known human carcinogen. As far as the environment is concerned, there are significant concerns about the negative impacts of coal tar as it erodes. Over time, the worn particles are transported from the pavement into the grass and into the plants, ravines. It also gets into the rainfall runoff, which ultimately feeds into the stormwater system and then into the streams and lakes. So this increases the PAH levels in our streams and lakes and can cause cancer, mutations, birth defects, and death to fish and other wildlife. Comparatively, the alternatives, such as asphalt-based sealant, has PAH levels that are up to 1,000 times less than what is in coal tar sealant. Several municipalities in the area already have coal tar prohibitions, some of which have been in place for several years. They include all of the communities that are listed on the slide there, to include Cook County, but in total, there are 17 municipalities throughout the state of Illinois that already have prohibitions or restrictions on coal tar sealant. Staff also contacted 10 area companies who provide sealant services in Lake Forest, And of those 10 companies that were contacted, 8 stated that they don't offer coal tar sealant as a product anymore due to the existing prohibitions in the area. 2 companies stated that they do offer both options for coal tar sealant and asphalt sealant. No companies only offer coal tar. Also, the city uses an asphalt-based product for our crack sealing program, so this would not change our operations either. The ordinance before you for your consideration tonight prohibits any person from applying coal tar sealant on a public or private property within the city. Enforcement is expected to be complaint-based only, and the responsible party would be the person applying the product, whether that be a company or a homeowner. It's the person actually doing the application. The fine per violation is recommended to be $750, which is the standard cap for health and sanitation violations. And so tonight we are just requesting first reading of this ordinance, and I would be happy to take any questions or comments you have.
Any questions for Ms. Kaup? Yes?
How would someone know if their neighbor was applying it? Is there a way to distinguish it from asphalt?
Yeah, so there is a much stronger chemical smell associated with coal tar, whereas asphalt-based sealants have less of an odor. Additionally, the coal tar-based sealant are more deep black glossy finishes, whereas asphalt is like a duller finish.
And do we know, like, does Home Depot or True Value, Ace, do they sell coal tar? Is that even an option for?
Sure, so Home Depot and Lowe's no longer sell coal tar in the buckets. My research that I saw was that the only retailer who supplies coal tar is True Value.
Thank you, Carrie.
Other questions? Alderman Powers?
Thanks, Carrie. Appreciate the comments or the information. And Alderman Novit was great this weekend buzzing the tower with most of us to talk about this. But my concern was this seems like this problem's solving itself. And if 8 out of 10 local vendors aren't using it and retailers aren't selling it, I just hate to get in a habit of where we're passing an ordinance just to pass an ordinance instead of, letting people make the proper decisions on their own. So did you have any feedback from that from other communities or?
Sure. No feedback on that from other communities. I think that they have found success with their ordinances just in terms of it being more of a deterrent than anything. And that's mostly how we see this ordinance as well, is more of a deterrent and a complaint-driven enforcement more than anything.
Well, to Ted's point too, people aren't gonna, the enforcement seems to be non-existent, to be honest. I know we have a $750 fee there, but we're relying on my neighbor to notice it and call somebody if I'm using it. Kind of seems unnecessary, but out of respect to the committee, thanks for the work that you did.
Sure.
Alderman Weber?
This particular issue has come up, I think, reoccurring in ESC since perhaps when former Alderman Rummel was chairing that committee, and I had sat on it for a couple of years and then chaired it. And so I feel like this issue has kind of bounced around, but I do echo Alderman Powers' concerns about real enforcement. And are we looking at a product that is just ultimately exiting its availability, so just thought there. But I certainly anything that causes cancer isn't necessarily a great thing. I don't want to discount that.
Sure.
Are there others? Yes, Alderman Clemmons?
Well, then that solves that problem.
Takes care of that.
Other comments or questions? Yes, Alderman Bothfeld?
I understand, the thought about passing an ordinance for an ordinance. But in this particular case, I think we have the state of Illinois also looking at doing a statewide. The idea is to try and get ahead of that curve because that would be phased in down the road. in the meantime, we're vulnerable, and we have a lot of people who don't know. So right now, there's no penalty at all to anybody. They can just go do whatever they want. And if two of those people say, hey, I can win this bid with a lower cost compared to the other 8, which coal tar is less expensive, I think it just puts our residents at risk, and I think we have a responsibility to protect them as much as we possibly can. And that's what this will do, because the state one, when it goes into effect, is gonna be probably a year out. So ideally, we're just filling that gap to prevent things from happening.
Alderman Novit.
Another point is that this is a passive exposure. People don't decide that they want to inhale coal tar sealant. It's either in the air or it's not. It's either in their grass or it's not. It's either flowing into the mainstream, into the water streams, or it's not. And because it's passive exposure, I think we owe a duty to protect people from that.
Other comments or questions? So I have a question. So are all of the vendors who apply this in town, are they all registered with the city? Do we know who they are? Do we have itinerant sealers coming into town who may be purveying this, so we don't really know the extent of this?
Sure, we don't have a licensing process for these, and that was a factor that the ESC considered, but even if we established a licensing process, the sentiment was that a fly-by-night company isn't gonna come and register with the city anyway, and so we'd be putting more of a burden on the companies that are already following the rules by adding a licensing component.
Okay. Very good. Yes, Alderman Bothfeld.
I also do think that there's an education component to this for the community and for all the residents, so that they understand the risks and the factors as they make decisions, but we're helping them out with that. Because there are fly-by-nighters, and I've seen them, we've all seen them. You can't even read the names of who they are because they've got these weird trucks. But when they drive by, you know they're doing coal tar and they're going up trying to solicit people. And people have no idea what's going on. With this in place, if anybody is vigilant, they can call and say, hey, please go check these folks out because I smell coal tar. And I think also that education of the 8 companies that are doing it right would be very, very valuable for people. It's like an approved list because they're not doing the coal tar, they're doing the asphalt base. So, thanks.
Other comments from the alderman? All right, seeing none, I do know we have one member of the audience who'd like to speak to this. So at this time, Alderman Rummel, would you like to come up and? Well, you know.
But thank you for the honor.
Yeah.
And good evening, I'm Melanie Rummel. I've been asked to speak this evening on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Lake Forest and Lake Bluff in support of the adoption of the ordinance prohibiting the use of coal tar sealants throughout our city. We would like to thank you and members of the Environmental Sustainability Committee for dedicating critical resources to this important effort that highlights the common goals of the city and our league. As an educational and advocacy organization with 100 years of experience, the League has supported clean air and water, recycling, and environmental stewardship since the 1970s. The League supports measures which reduce pollution in order to protect surface water, groundwater, and drinking water. The League studied the impact of coal tar sealants years ago and voted to advocate in favor of actions which enable and adopt initiatives favoring the banning of coal tar sealants. The city has directed considerable effort and investment into stormwater management and creating stable, healthy ecosystems in our ravines, the North Branch of the Chicago River, the Skokie River, and Lake Michigan, the source of our drinking water. As assistant to the city manager, Kopp has highlighted in her report, the health hazards of coal tar-based sealants have been well researched and documented, including research years ago by our own Lake Forest Collaborative for Environmental Leadership. The logical next step is to ban the use of these carcinogens in our city, which goes into our drinking water. By so doing, as has been pointed out, we join many of our neighbors who border Lake Michigan. Not all of them do, but it's still going into our groundwater. Highland Park, Deerfield, Winnetka, Wilmette, Evanston, Barrington, North Barrington, Riverwoods, Vernon Hills, Glenview, Mount Prospect, South Barrington, and Cook County. They've all taken concerted action to combat water pollution and to keep our drinking water safe. And it's hoped that Lake Forest will join with them. And in talking about this will go away by itself, Alderman Weber is correct in that we looked at this 6 years ago and things haven't changed. It was about the same situation then, with many hardware stores not selling the product, and it really hasn't changed. And so I think it's time now, and we did education around it, and I think it's finally time to ban its use entirely. It's not a safe product. It shouldn't be leaching into our streams and into our drinking water. And in answer to Alderman Notes' question, you can smell this stuff. When you walk down the street, my favorite anecdote is I passed by a school parking lot with the top down on my car one day, and the whole block smelled of coal tar-based sealant. So it is easy to identify. And so I thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I hope you will consider our vision for a more sustainable Lake Forest and for healthy drinking water. Thank you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council on this matter? Okay. So then, I will ask at this time for a motion to grant first reading of an ordinance amending the city code to add a new subsection 95.196 titled Coal Tar Sealant Prohibition to prohibit the use of coal tar sealant products within the city. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, the next item on the agenda is the items for omnibus vote consideration. These happen to be the correct items. I've checked them.
We'll be the judge of that.
There are 7 items this evening. As always, if there's any item that the alderman would like removed or taken separately, please let me know after I've read all of the items. Thank you. Item 1, approval of the February 17th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes, correction of a scrivener's error in the roll call vote for executive session. Alderman Walther was absent. Item 2, approval of the check register for the period of January 24th through February 20th, 2026. Item 3, approval of the purchase of replacement computers for all city departments not to exceed the amount of $78,911. Approval to purchase the Verkada Access Control System for Municipal Services Building from Modern Media Technologies in the amount of $113,300. Item 5, approval to purchase 2 replacement police department CSO vehicles to Kaiser Ford Lincoln in the amount of $70,750. Item 6, approval of a recommendation from the Public Works Committee to authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Sundance Lawn Care for citywide grounds maintenance services in the horticulture FY 2027 budget for an amount not to exceed $214,900. And finally, award the low bid for the Griffith Woodland Storm Sewer Improvement Project to Manival Construction and authorize the city manager to execute in the amount of $372,150 with a 10% contingency in the amount of $37,215 for a total project cost of $409,365. Are there any items that the alderman would like removed or taken separately? All right, hearing none, then can I have a motion to approve the 7 omnibus items as presented?
So moved.
Second.
This will be a roll call vote.
Alderman Bothfeld,
Hey, yeah.
Alderman Weber,
Aye.
Alderman Walther,
Aye.
Alderman Novit,
Aye.
Alderman Clement,
Aye.
Alderman Notes,
Aye.
Alderman Powers,
Aye.
Alderman Levert.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay, motion carried.
Very good. The next item on the agenda is old business, of which there's none this evening, followed by new business, of which there is none this evening. The next item on the agenda is any additional comments from city council members? Alderman Powers?
Just very briefly, as kind of a public service announcement, I know from time to time we hear about cars being stolen in our neighborhoods. So over the last 8 years, we had an average of 12 to 18 cars that are stolen. The reason they're stolen is they're left open and the keys are in the car 80% of the time. So just a friendly reminder for people in the community, please lock your car. The other interesting thing is newer vehicles, when the car's locked, the mirrors go in on the side. So these hoodlums that come into our neighborhoods drive around and look for the mirrors to not be collapsed, which is an indication the car is open, and then it gives them immediate access. But I know it pops up from time to time, but please, my dear friend and neighbor decided to leave his car open with the keys in it and his wallet. So it's like the perfect storm of craziness. So please be thoughtful and lock your car. And I know most of the time it's our kids too. I own several of those, so I know how that goes, but just be cognizant of it. Thanks.
Any other comments? Alderman Walther?
Thank you, Mayor. Just for members of the community who would like to know what's going on with regards to the construction project at Waukegan and Wesley Road, there will be an open house this coming Thursday, March 5th, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Lake Forest Fire Station on the west side of town in the basement. Anyone in the community is welcome to attend. Thank you.
Very good. Are there other comments? Nature abhors a vacuum, apparently. Very good. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2 C and 1. The city council will be discussing specific personnel. May I have a motion? And before we do that, I'd like to note that there will be no further business following the executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. This will be a roll call vote.
Alderman Novit,
Aye.
Alderman Clements.
Aye.
Alderman Note,
Aye.
Alderman Powers,
Aye.
Alderman Burt,
Aye.
Alderman Bothfeld,
Aye.
Alderman Weber,
Aye.
Alderman Walther.
Aye.
8 yeas, 0 nay, motion carries.
Okay, at this time, we are adjourned. Good evening.